Hello, everybody. Happy spring break. At least it's spring break at my house. I'm super excited today. We get to finally draw the name for the Real Deal giveaway from last week. And so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to bring in my little box and I'm going to choose us a name. Not looking. All right, let's see who's going to win. Okay, this is it. This is it. Who is our winner? Lanier. Lanier is our winner. Okay, yay, Lanier. I will bring this to you. So congratulations. That's awesome. All right. Well, also some exciting news. I have scheduled an interview with the Chilled Cryo Spa owner, Amy, that's here in Katy, Texas. I'm super pumped because I'm ready to pick her brain on innovative weight loss, anti-aging, and self-care strategies. They have so many cool things over there that, and they're continuing to add more things. So I thought that would be something fun. So I look forward to doing that. Hi, Becky. Thank you for joining. Anyway, as I mentioned, it's spring break at my house, and I know that a lot of people like to engage in spring cleaning. It feels so good to create a visually peaceful environment, and so much good comes from that. So today I want to talk about clearing the clutter, specifically emotional clutter. Why do I want to talk about this? Because I really want you to find ways to worry less, to have less anxiety, and to have less negative thinking. We all fall into this trap. Let's face it, we tend to focus more on negative stimuli more than we focus on positive stimuli. Dr. Rick Hansen says that the brain is like Velcro for negative experiences, but Teflon for positive ones. So I think that's interesting. I mean, I see this in my own life. It's like something good happens and it's short-lived, but something bad happens and it stays with you all day. So I'm sure you've experienced this as well. But I kind of want to talk about some habits that you can employ to declutter emotions. Whenever I take on a new client, we initially talk about clearing the clutter. We have a session about that. Clutter lives in our minds and in our lives, and it makes it difficult to make way for something new when that clutter's around. Just too much stuff in your kitchen or your master bedroom or your office can be distracting and overwhelming. And it can really kind of cause you to lose momentum when you're trying to make room for something new, whether that be new habits or new ideas or new behavior. Just think about how good you feel after you've cleaned and decluttered your home, right? You feel so good, you're ready for anything. You can host a party, you feel like doing the salsa around your house. And this is kind of the feeling that I want to develop with my clients when they begin the coaching process. It's impossible to help them make really big changes in their lives when their environment has so much clutter. I had one client come to me who is really hoping to help, who's wanting my help to help him create a new life after divorce. He was ready to let go of the past and put himself out there, but he was holding on to a garage totally filled with boxes from his failed marriage. So every time he walked in the garage, it was reminder smack in the face, every time. I could think in addition to the physical clutter, the items that he was hanging on to all had negative emotions from his painful past. And so I think he was resisting getting rid of the boxes. That's why they'd been there for years. He was dealing with both physical and emotional clutter. So what do you think I asked him to do? Yeah, I asked him to do the hard stuff. Yeah, I asked him to get rid of those boxes and the unwanted memories from his past. He did it. And he told me he felt like a big boulder was off his shoulders. He also said, surprisingly, that it was a lot easier than he expected. He hadn't really needed any of those items for years that he was hanging on to. So he said it was actually pretty easy to donate them and just let them go. You know, taking that first step wasn't easy. Obviously, if it was that easy, he would have done it years ago. But with some support, he got there, and now he's well on his way to transforming his life and, you know, getting ready to have a second chapter. So it's exciting. So I'm curious to everyone that's here today, what do you consider to mental and or emotional clutter in your day-to-day life? So what do you consider to be like mental or emotional clutter in your day-to-day life? Anyone going to be brave enough to answer? All right, guys. Well, mental clutter can show up in a lot of ways. Stress, too much stuff, too many decisions to make, too many choices. Another big one that I think people don't really acknowledge, but it's huge, is just digital or information overload. You know, constantly being bombarded with text, emails, tweets, blog posts, notifications. I mean, even cute dog videos, or even something as wonderful as like your Bible app signaling you to read today's verse. You know, when you're getting all of that constantly, the constant bombardment, you know, it can feel overwhelming, and it can be really, we already have like overstimulated lives, so it can just feel like a big burden. And yeah, Becky said work stress. Absolutely. Like that's a lot of mental stress that you carry. And I actually know some of that you shared with me. So I know that's big for you. And Erin says sometimes people from past environments, yes, relationships, jobs, etc., are big sources of clutter. Absolutely. And I don't know if you guys can see, I tried to add 2 questions to the polls. I asked, what do you consider to be your greatest mental burden? And I gave you 2 options. It may be none of those, but like of those 2, I'm curious. And then I did another one, which is, what do you consider to be your greatest emotional burden? And again, I gave you 2 options. So I would love to hear, you know, what you guys think. And hi, Cody. Woohoo. All right, guys. So Cody, since you're just tuning in, we are talking about clearing the clutter, specifically emotional clutter. We were just talking about like the mental clutter that shows up in our lives through stress and too much stuff, too many choices, too many decisions to make. Becky was saying work stress for her. Erin was saying just things in his past, like relationships or jobs or things like that can weigh him down as a source of clutter. And I was mentioning that, you know, just the digital or information overload that you're constantly bombarded with, that can be crazy. The texts, the alerts, the notifications, it's like, my gosh, sometimes I just want it all to end. And sometimes I do. I just shut off my phone because I don't want to hear it anymore. But anyway, today I do really want to focus on emotional clutter that we carry around. Often emotional clutter shows up in persistent familiar thoughts or feelings. And I think this is really what Erin was alluding to. Examples of this: no one appreciates me, right? No one ever sees me. I'm invisible. No one cares. Or I do everything around here, right? This kind of emotional clutter weighs you down and keeps you from focusing on the good in your life. It creates resistance in your soul and holds you back from living your best life. So again, this is why I wanted to talk about this today. The more you allow these thoughts to play over and over again in your head, the deeper the pathways they carve in your brain. So they need to be dealt with. Like, we definitely need to focus some attention here. Excuse me. I think the pollen that I see outside has started to enter. So 1 second. Okay. We've all experienced days where you've been running at warp speed all day and everything seems to hit you at once. You know, you're all out of sorts because you've been holding on to a surplus of negative emotions. And the buildup from the day, or perhaps even the week, has really started to affect your current state of mind. And sadly, the relationships with the people you care about most in your life. You feel like you're a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. You ever felt like that? But you know, you're trying to keep a handle on it and feel like you're failing miserably. I've totally been there. Hi, Melissa. Anyway, so Melissa, we're talking about clearing the emotional clutter, and I'm talking about how we can get like a buildup from the day, just like having, so many things hit us at once. And sometimes by the end of the day, we feel like we're a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. And we're trying to keep a handle on it, but we're feeling like we're failing. You stuff so much stuff down that's really just threatening to come back up and you don't know what to do. You suddenly notice that you're holding your breath. Your stomach feels tight and stress is coursing through your veins, You've used up most of your self-discipline for the day and you're really running on fumes. Maybe it's dinner time and your family's waiting to eat a home-cooked meal and to enjoy your company, but the only thing on your mind is like, oh my gosh, please let me just survive long enough to serve up this dinner so I can be done for the day. I just need to exhale. I need some time for myself. Or maybe you're like feeling desperate to open up a bottle of wine and pour yourself a glass so you can begin to relax and forget the day, but deep down, that's kind of not what the kind of habit that you want to create. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Melissa's really focused on eliminate. Oh, good, Melissa. So glad you tuned in. Yes, me too. Yeah, so, obviously Melissa's been in a situation like that. I know I have. It sounds like Aaron has. Becky's dealing with that at work. I can paint like an illustration for you, but these days, like they just bring that kind of just negative self-talk, different things are happening. Like maybe the power went out, so you overslept and you missed your favorite yoga class. That just started the day wrong. And then the dog tracks mud all over the house just after you got dressed and you're trying to leave the house. So now you've got to wash the dog and the floors. Like this is a real life example in my house. Aaron's probably chuckling. And then maybe that caused you to be late for your doctor's appointment, or maybe you were really looking forward to having lunch with your best friend and she canceled. And you just feel like, I just needed my friend today. And you just start to get kind of down, and then your boss is in a bad mood, or you get home from like a busy day and discover that the toilets or the toilet upstairs is clogged. This actually happened to us. And it's starting to gurgle and the kids are alerting you and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And here it is 9 o'clock and you're calling, the plumber in an emergency situation and spending $500 only to discover that your son clogged up the toilet with too much toilet paper. You kind of get my drift. Like these days can get crazy. Maybe even you call your husband at work and you just really need to vent, but he's like on a deadline, so he's not really paying attention to you, and you just feel like you have more negative self-talk going on. So remember what I said earlier. Negative stimuli is like Teflon. I'm sorry. Yeah. The negative stimuli is it's the positive stimuli that's like Teflon. It's the negative stimuli that's like Velcro. And that accumulation of all the negativity really just starts to hit you and build up hard. And so in this moment, we're faced with like two options. We can continue to either stuff it down and ignore it, or, face the music, that one's often hard. One takes courage and self-awareness, and the other may seem like the easy option, but it's sure to blow up on you when you least expect it. Those feelings that we're trying to suppress won't just disappear as we wish they would. We can't drink to really forget. It might just forget in the moment, but tomorrow you wake up and it's there again. So the absolute best thing to do is to go clear the clutter. Go take care of those toxic emotions. Find a safe place to unload them so you can release them and make way for what you truly want and value, which is peace and quality relationships and positivity, right? That's the goal. So you might be thinking, okay, Julia, sounds awesome, but how do you suggest I do that? And my suggestion, this is what I do personally, and I encouraged one of my clients yesterday to do this, is just to grab a notebook, start unloading all of the pent up emotions onto the sheets of paper and start to identify the negative scripts playing in your head, right? I'm sure there's a history there. Don't judge the feelings or emotions. Don't analyze them. You can do that later if you want. But the main goal here is to purge the toxic waste that you've been collecting all day. So try to make some small shifts towards more positive thoughts as you go along. I find personally that I'll start real negative. This is bothering me. This is bothering me. This is bothering me. And then, I might even say things like the negative script that's playing in my head. I do everything around here. And then I start to, gently kind of come back to my senses and replace those lies with more positive or truth. More positive thoughts or truth. I don't do everything around here. I have a wonderful husband who helps out a ton. So it might have just felt like that in the moment and the accumulation of all the stuff that we're carrying around. But it's important that as we go along, and I do find that like after I've written quite a bit and unloaded a lot of it, then that's when I can be more positive. In the process, I just want you to like be compassionate to yourself. Offer yourself love and understanding. Be gentle, like you're human. Of course, if all of those things happen that I described earlier, that would get to anyone. Combine that with all these negative scripts we have, or negative, like Aaron said, relationships in his past. They're just like lingering in his brain, like those pathways that I was talking about. It's hard. Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. But the very act of writing is super therapeutic. Just remember, as we spoke about in a previous session, just remember to take those deep cleansing breaths at the beginning and through the process. That's how you're going to start to connect with your intuition, with your gut wisdom. And that's how you can start to ask yourself, like, what's really going on here? Like, why am I so upset? Often we don't even know why we're so upset. We're just super upset, right? And then start writing. You don't need to share your words with anyone. You don't have, and if you are like afraid that someone's going to come pick up your journal and read all the terrible things that you're thinking or feeling, you're going to be afraid to express yourself. And that's not what I want, so make a plan to, shred it when you're done, or, there's apps now that they have where you can type, or text it on your iPad or your phone or whatever, and you can have a password on it so that you're safe if you're afraid, or like do a Word document with password protection. Anything that it's going to take to make you feel comfortable expressing what you're feeling. That's what I'm looking for. Trust me, at the end of the experience, you're going to feel lighter, more balanced, more positive, and more peaceful. It's going to be worth it. I did this one night. I just had my two daughters, exactly the same situation I was describing. It was dinner time. I felt the pressure of getting the dinner on the table. They were hungry. They were waiting. But I was 2 seconds from an explosion. I just have been keeping it in all day. And I just said, look, guys, I need to go outside on our patio. And I brought my journal. I said, I will be back. And I just started writing. And honestly, within 15 minutes, I felt better. A lot better. I went back in, I made the dinner, and I actually had a great night with my girls. I read them a book, and I felt like loving and kind again. I didn't explode on them. But, if your family's waiting on you, just tell them you need 15 or 30 minutes to take care of something. Remember, as we've talked about before, you can't possibly take care of everyone else until you take care of yourself. And that bomb that's brewing within. Trust me, they will, they want you to take care of these things, right? Maybe in the past, they've experienced your wrath, and they would much, much rather see you go sit and write for a bit, and dinner might be pushed back 15 minutes or whatever, but they'd like, to see you be a nicer human. They don't want you taking out your bad day on them any more than you do, right? Dinner can wait. And I think it's so important to think about what kind of a role model you are for your children, when you do that. Hey, I'm going to take care of my emotions, right? So many of us have had the role models or examples where you watch your parents never deal with their emotions or deal with them in unhealthy ways. So what better way, like, and when we're talking about all the different ways stress impacts us, to start letting our children see. And I shared that with my girls when I came in. I said, look, guys, I was having just a lot of emotions and I needed to just write them down for a minute. I feel so much better. You know, I'm an example of what that looks like. And so when they get into their own homes and they feel like ticking time bombs, they're going to know what to do. We're all going to be happier and healthier if we learn to deal with our feelings and our emotions instead of trying to bury them. Give yourself permission to take care of yourself. Sadly, like, no magic fairy is going to show up and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Julie, guess what? It's time to remove yourself for a little while and go take care of business, right? It's not going to happen, so don't wait on her. You know, make a positive change. Only good can come from it. So I just really want to encourage you, like, maybe today is the day that you make a change and don't end up making your child cry at the dinner table because she failed to eat over her plate, made a mess, and you literally lost it because you've asked her 100 times to eat over a plate. But, you know, it's not her fault. You just had too much and, you know, you exploded, right? Maybe you'll be able to lower your stress level enough to enjoy your dinner and enjoy that time with your family. Maybe tonight will be the night you don't open up a bottle of wine and drink it by yourself or overeat in an attempt to self-soothe, right? We all do that as well. Maybe you'll begin to be able to breathe again, right? That vice grip that's around your stomach, like, set it free, right? Breathe again. Maybe tonight's the night you're going to get better quality sleep because you're not wrestling over all those emotions all night, because that is literally what happens, at least for me. I'll wake up many times if I have something that's just eating at me, and that's good for no one. Then tomorrow I wake up and I'm more tired and I still have the same stress, right? Better to put it to bed today and sleep well tonight. Guys, maybe this is the first healthy step you take for yourself and it initiates 100 more, right? These are the kind of healthy habits that we want to employ. So maybe this will change your life and the lives around you. Yeah, so go give it a try. You will thank me later. I would love to hear from you. You're welcome to send me a direct message and let me know if you're not comfortable sharing it publicly. But it really does work, guys. So here's my question for you, and we will end for this week. What step will you make this week to help reduce the clutter you have in your life? All right. What step will you make to help reduce the clutter you have in your life? So that's my question. I would love to hear from you, even if it's not today live, just as you go through your week and you watch the video, I would love to hear from you. All right, guys. Also, if anyone can access the polls or even see it, I'm hoping. That was a new thing I tried, and I definitely want to see if it works. But give it a whirl. If anyone has anything else. All right, well, y'all have a wonderful rest of your week. It's hump day, so we've made it halfway. All right, and all the dogs cooperated, so we should give them a little round of applause. No one barked, and I didn't have a dog walker today, so praise God for that. All right, have a great one. Bye-bye.